This is a very sad day for Australia. I want to express my condolences to the Jewish community for the horror that has happened to them yesterday. I find it difficult to describe the emotions that I feel for them and for those people that have lost loved ones during this horrible attack. The the irony here is that I posted a video saying Australia is a shitty country the other day because I was concerned about a couple of right wing podcasters and how they were highlighting the deficits that are Australia. And I thought that the way they went about it was inappropriate. But I almost feel like now I need to take that back because Australia now has appeared to be one of the most anti-Semitic countries in the world. And any form of hate, any form of a terrorist attack in particular, but particularly hate expressed towards any particular group of people, no matter who they are, is horrendous. I find it difficult to explain why it is that people would feel the way they do about another group of people, that there is such an intolerance to live with others who think, act, pray differently to them. I find it difficult to express words which encapsulate the fear I fear for Australians as a whole as a result of this terrible attack. The two images which I've kind of thought as being the most significant here are these, and they are there because in one of them, a man shows immense courage in tackling one of the gunmen. It is understood but not confirmed that the man who, the guy who just decided to attack a person with a gun who was shooting other people, he himself is Muslim. I don't know if much will be made of that fact, but I think it's relatively significant. The other one, of course, is the man standing on the bridge shooting people at random. I find that the response has been predictable, that there are the politicians on one side saying we're doing all that we can in order to meet this terrible scourge, and on the other hand, we have the opposition and others blaming the government for the decision that these two men made. There's a number of issues here which concern me, and I think number one is, who has access to guns in Australia? I wouldn't even know where to buy a gun. It's not like the United States where you can where there's a gun shop on every street corner almost. Or when I was in the United States with my wife a few years ago, we went into a department store and lo and behold, there's a whole section on guns. Just don't see that in Australia. So how the shooter had access to 6 guns is beyond me. And clearly something needs to be done in changing our laws, tightening our laws even more. I don't understand why anybody would have a gun. I can understand why farmers might, for shooting vermin and whatever it might be, but I can't understand why anybody else would have a gun. And certainly something needs to be done about that, regardless of what the gun lobby here in Australia advocates. We don't need to have guns. And one of the fearful things, one of the most shocking statements came, I believe, on X, where someone in the United States suggested that the problem is we don't have enough guns. Well, that is just absolute bullshit, and we need to stand against that sort of rhetoric as well. The other thing that concerns me is that everybody wants to blame somebody else for what has happened, for a decision that a father and a son made to attack Jewish people. Now, at this point in time, we don't know why it is they did what they did. We don't know their background specifically, except that the father had access to 6 guns. That's about it. We don't know whether they have an ideology or particular belief. We don't know what religious group they come from, and I guess all that will seem to be important to a lot of people at some particular point. But, and you know, what is it? And the question for me, folks, and this is what I'd like to ask you, is what is it, do you think, that the government could possibly have done in order to deter these 2 men from furthering this attack? If you don't have information about people, if there's no sort of what's the word? If there's no intelligence around who these people are and what they're planning to do, then what is it that we can expect people to do? Certainly we can expect them to outlaw guns, number one. Number two is re-educate people. I mean, and is it possible to educate these people about ways to behave that are more differently, or to dispense with and to manage other people's degrees of hate? No, I don't think it is. I think bottom line is, I reckon that as horrible as this is, and as terrible as this makes me feel, and believe me, I feel horrible. I was watching some of the news items earlier today, and I was feeling quite emotional because the loss of any life, and there's a 10-year-old kid who lost his or her life, and I find it's almost inconceivable that such a horror would take place in a country like Australia, or anywhere for that matter. And then we have the attachment that's going to be made between those people that are anti-IDF and what's happening in Gaza, and conflating that, as Netanyahu has done at this particular point, in relation to this particular act of terrorism. We don't know what motivated these people, but there are so many people who have decided to attack the Albanese government for recognising Palestine, and for attacking those people, including myself, who object to the horrors and the genocide that's taking place in Gaza. The two are not related, regardless of what people say and regardless of what they want to believe. That they want to exonerate the IDF and the Israeli parliament for what they're doing, and that we can't seem to, and this is what I find really frustrating, is that we can't seem to have a discussion that separates the two. That there are people in this community who, for whatever reason, hate the Jewish community. I don't understand why. It's beyond my degree of understandings, but nevertheless, that seems to be the case. Just in the same way that we have a group of people who dislike and have a disdain for LGBTQI plus people. You know, the fact that people have an objection to anybody that is different to them. White people, white nationalists, who hate and despise anybody of colour. I don't understand. I struggle with that notion of hating these people. We can disagree with them. We can have debates about what they believe is right and what other persons, such as myself, would believe are right. That we should respect and dignify everybody's human rights to an opinion, but we should condemn actions which harm other people. But we don't seem to be able to do that. We seem to become polarized in our views as to what it is that is right and wrong. And I find that this discussion that is about to take place about Jewish community and the hatred that certain people feel towards them becomes so politicized that we lose sight of the real issues here, which is about supporting the community, not letting them down. That it is unfortunate that more resources will be needed to protect synagogues and schools and daycare centres. And if that has to be the case, then so be it. But we must always keep in mind that this is the action of two individuals, a father and a son. And at this point, we have very little information about what motivated them and why. We do not know. It is important, I think, for us to remain level-headed and stop blaming other people for what two people have chosen to do. If you find anything I say interesting and you'd like to subscribe to my channel and have a comment about your views in relation to what has happened here in Australia, please let me know in the comment section below. But I do want to finally say that I am embarrassed to live in a country where there are people who think and choose to behave in this particular way. And it's not just about anti-Semitism. It's about hate in general. That we breed discontent. We breed disaffection. We breed discord by spending a lot of our time arguing with each other rather than resolving problems and agreeing on solutions that are going to be meaningful. That is where we fail. And as I watch people talk about all of this, from Josh Frydenberg to Susan Lee to Anthony Albanese and to others, none of them, not one of them, can come up with an appropriate solution, because I don't think there is a solution that will be able to deal with, identify, and eliminate hate. I just don't think that's possible. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I really do mean it this time, as I do every time really. But take care.